Frances Kelly. I live in Shreveport. I'm a volunteer organizer with Louisiana Progress Action, and I was the lead organizer for concerned citizens of the Camp Minden open burn. You have received a handout that has the federal regulation that prohibits all open burning of hazardous waste. And as you can see, there is an exemption in there for waste explosives and for bulk military munitions, but the language of that exemption reads, for which cannot safely be disposed of through other modes of treatment. And this regulation is almost 40 years old. At the time it was written, there were not alternative technologies available. Now they are. Based on this regulation, because there are alternatives, all open burning of hazardous waste, including explosives and munitions, is now illegal. In the permit that Clean Harbors has, they have to certify every year to the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality that none of the waste that they open burn can be treated by any other alternative technology. And so for them to continue open burning waste is in violation of federal law and their permit. There's the reason why EPA made it illegal to open burn hazardous waste is because there's no way to accurately measure emissions and there's no way to control emissions. So if you think about every other industry, including the ones that we're testifying here today, they're required to put extensive and very expensive pollution abatement equipment on their stacks, and they're required to monitor their emissions and report them to EPA. It's not possible to do that in an open burn, and as a result, we don't have any measured emissions from the facility at Clean Harbors, Colfax, because they can't measure them. So all of their emissions are just estimated. No other industry is allowed to do that. 98% of the waste, because I've looked at their waste reports and I've added up, 98% of the waste comes from other states. This is the presentation that Clean Harbors made to our Camp Minden Dialogue Committee. On this page, it lists the alternative technologies available, which they are clearly aware of, and it shows that they admit that open burning is less protective of human health and the environment and is less compliant with the existing regulations. This document that I passed out to you is a series of letters that the Department of Environmental Quality received from an incineration company that is licensed to burn within a hazardous waste incinerator all classes of explosives. And they talked about how Clean Harbors lured away some of their customers. So if those wastes can be processed in a hazardous waste incinerator, we're talking about the same companies that are sending waste to Clean Harbors, we're sending their waste to this incinerator, then there's clearly an alternative available. You've received this fact sheet from us, which details some of the other alternative technologies. If you have questions, please ask me. I'm trying to go fast. I know we don't have much time. It's important to note that the United States taxpayers spent hundreds of millions of dollars. Dolores.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sorry.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Hundreds of millions of dollars on developing technologies that are capable of safely disposing of hazardous waste that's explosive. This is during the chemical weapons demilitarization program. We've contacted multiple companies that have these technologies. They have all said that you, as legislators or staff from the governor's office, is welcome to come tour their technologies and ask questions and learn about them. I have a series of emails from these companies. This one is from Dr. Prosif, who served as the Deputy Assistant to the Secretary of Defense and was responsible for the oversight of the entire United States Chemical Weapons Destruction Program. And so he was one of the military's top people that oversaw the development of these technologies. I asked him about some of the technologies that he now works with these companies, and he said that the DaVinci, which is this chamber that has a vacuum where you detonate all of the waste inside of a chamber, he said that they're capable of dealing with the waste streams. And he also said that the gas phase chemical reduction technology is capable of dealing with the waste streams. And I have an email from that company as well as a study on gas phase chemical reduction's ability to deal with these types of waste, propellants, explosives, and the associated dunnage that goes with them. All of these technologies are designed to minimize the creation of toxic byproducts, which are products of combustion. And this is another email from General Atomics, which has the supercritical water oxidation. Again, it's a super advanced technology. I sent them the list of waste, all these companies, a list of waste currently being burned at Clean Harbors, and they've all said we are capable of dealing with these wastes. The only exception is gas phase chemical reduction can't deal with the igniters. But other than that, they said we would be able to handle these wastes with our technology. This is presentation on DaVinci, which is the detonation chamber that uses a vacuum. It was used in Japan because we used to, as a country, dump our chemical weapons into the sea, and so did Japan. They actually pulled their chemical weapons off of the ground in the bay, and they destroyed them in this technology. Chemical weapons have chemical agent in them, but they also have the same kind of explosives and munitions that we're talking about when we're talking about conventional munitions. And then the last thing I want to say is that some of these toxic byproducts that we're concerned about, there's no way to monitor for them. One of those is dioxins and PCBs and furans. That is actually the chemical that made Vietnam veterans sick because it was a contaminant in Agent Orange. They didn't intend to make it, but it was in Agent Orange. So that's one of the things that we're talking about that's produced when you open burn hazardous waste. And that's toxic in the amount of grams. So for other industries that produce it, they're regulated. They have to keep it between, we're talking about grams, not pounds, not tons, grams. And there's no way to monitor for that when you're just releasing it out into the open. If you'll have questions about the technology, please ask me. And these companies are definitely willing to talk to anyone about what they can do.
The board is clear. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Honore.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Russell Honore, 1443 Memorial Tower, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I'm here to speak in support